What if one small act of kindness, a $4.75 cup of coffee, could rewrite the story of your entire life? For Amelia Evans, a struggling single mother barely surviving on minimum wage, that act didn't just change her day. It changed everything: her home, her heart, her future. But when you give without expecting anything in return, sometimes the universe pays you back in ways you could never imagine. The gray morning light seeped through cracked blinds as Amelia Evans silenced her alarm clock. Her son Leo, just 6 years old, slept soundly, his tiny inhaler beside him a reminder of the bills she couldn't pay. She whispered her daily promise, "We'll make it, baby." Somehow, we always do. But even she didn't believe it anymore. With only $10 in her wallet, Amelia drove to her job at the Daily Grind, her gaslight glowing red like a warning from the universe. Her boss, Mr. Henderson, greeted her with the usual bitterness, "You're 3 minutes late, Evans. Try to act like you want this job." She smiled through the sting. Because that's what single mothers do, they smile through the storm. By mid-morning, the rain outside blurred the city into shades of silver. That's when Elizabeth, a frail elderly woman with trembling hands, walked in. Her coat was too big. Her eyes, pale and distant, flickered like an old film reel. Amelia approached softly. "Good morning, ma'am. What can I get for you?" "A coffee, dear, black. And maybe one of those blueberry scones." Amelia lied gently, "They're fresh from the oven." They weren't. But she wanted the woman to feel a little warmth today. When Elizabeth finished and reached for her purse, her trembling turned to panic. Her bag was empty. "Oh dear, my wallet. I can't find it. I'm so sorry." From behind the counter, Henderson's voice thundered. "If she can't pay, I'm calling the police." Customers began to whisper. The old woman's lip quivered. She whispered, "Please, sir. I must have left it at home." And in that moment, Amelia made a decision that would define her life. She reached into her pocket, pulled out her last $10, and said, "It's okay. I've got it." Henderson glared. "You can't afford your own rent, Evans." But Amelia didn't care. She paid the $4.75 and saved a stranger's dignity. She didn't know that someone was watching. Someone who could change her life with a single signature. At a quiet table near the window sat Julian Ashworth, billionaire tech visionary, invisible to the public eye. He had come to Portland to attend meetings, but that morning his mind was elsewhere. His mother, Elizabeth Ashworth, had wandered from home, lost in the haze of Alzheimer's. He had been searching for her all morning. And when he found her sitting safely in the Daily Grind, his relief was so strong it nearly brought him to tears. He was about to enter when he saw the scene unfold: his mother's confusion, the manager's cruelty, and the waitress's grace. Julian watched as Amelia, with empty pockets and weary eyes, spent her last dollar to defend a woman she didn't even know. He felt a shame deeper than anything he'd known in boardrooms or luxury jets. This woman, who had nothing, gave everything. He finished his espresso, silent. Then he pulled out his sleek black card and wrote something on the receipt. A $1,000 tip, signed simply, "For your kindness. J. Ashworth." When Amelia saw it, her heart stopped. "Mr. Henderson, this must be a mistake." "It's not," Henderson said flatly after checking. "Approved." That night, Amelia drove home with a full tank of gas and tears streaming down her face. It wasn't just money. It was hope. But she didn't know this was only the beginning. 3 days later, Amelia's phone rang while she was folding Leo's tiny shirts. "Ms. Evans? This is Evelyn from the Ashworth Foundation. Mr. Ashworth would like to speak with you." She froze. I think you have the wrong person." "No, ma'am. He specifically mentioned you. He said, 'The woman who paid for my mother's coffee.'" The next morning, she stood in front of a downtown glass tower so tall it disappeared into the clouds. Inside, Julian Ashworth greeted her, warm, calm, human. "You didn't just help my mother," he said softly. "You reminded me what compassion looks like." He explained everything: his mother's illness, the guilt he carried, how her kindness had opened his eyes. Then he slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a scholarship letter, a full tuition to the Oregon Culinary Institute. Her old dream, resurrected. He smiled. "You said once you wanted to bake happiness. Let me help you do that." Amelia's tears fell freely. "Why me?" Julian's reply was simple. "Because you spent your last dollar to protect someone else's dignity. I want to invest in that kind of heart." A year later, the smell of fresh pastries filled the air. Amelia stood behind the counter of her own small bakery, the Daily Grace Café. Framed near the register was an old coffee receipt, faded but precious. $4.75, paid for Elizabeth. Next to it hung a quote. "Kindness costs little, but it can change everything." Her son Leo ran around the tables, laughing. His lungs stronger. Their lives brighter. And every morning at 5:15, when her alarm rang, Amelia smiled. Because this time, the race wasn't for survival. It was for purpose. As she handed a steaming cup of coffee to a tired young waitress, she said, "Keep the change. You never know who's watching." Fade out, with the sound of rain against the cafe window. A $4.75 act of kindness. That's all it took to turn a stranger's pain into a lifetime of gratitude and a broken dream into a new beginning. Because when you give from the heart, the world always finds a way to give back, sometimes in ways you can't even imagine.